Hello and welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to a special Friday the 13th match here for Sky Blue FC as they take on the Boston Breakers at Yurcak Field in Piscataway, New Jersey. I'm Corey Cohen with my partner Dan Lauletta. Should be an interesting one here tonight. It was a rainy day. We were both stuck in traffic for a little while, but we're here now, just about ready for this match to begin. We'll talk about the match here as we've got a couple minutes before it starts. Let's first talk about Sky Blue FC. One change in the starting lineup, Dan. Kelly Conheeney, who scored the game winner against Seattle in the first game of the season, she's back into the starting lineup in exchange for Nikki Stanton, who started last week. She's on the bench. What do you think about Kelly Conheeney getting back into it and what that means for this entire squad?
Well, we don't know what the shape will be tonight, but Nikki Stanton had been the traditional defensive midfielder sitting on top of the back four, and obviously she's not in there now, and Christy Holly didn't bring in any of the other players that typically fill that role. So we've heard some rumblings that maybe Raquel Rodriguez will be up top, so it might be more of a 4-4-2, but it does sound like a little bit more of an aggressive formation tonight for Holly and Sky Blue.
And so we'll take a quick break for the national anthem, and then we'll come right back and finish up the pregame show. Before the match starts, stay with us.
Thank you, Lenny Cantanzaro.
And welcome back again, Corey Cohen, Dan Lauletta. So let's talk about for just a moment Maya Hayes. She scored a goal last week. She now leads the team with 2. This is her third season after being drafted sixth overall in 2014. Do you think that she's really starting to come on and become a big factor, not just for Sky Blue, but really in the entire NWSL?
Well, as we've talked about during previous broadcasts, this is the first season that she'll be able to really play the entire season and in an attacking role. She got hurt a lot her rookie season when she was asked to carry a lot of the load, and last season she got put back at fullback positions at different points. Did pretty well back there, but now that Sky Blue seems to have their back four in order for the moment, it's nice to see Maya Hayes in an attacking position, and as she has shown on a number of occasions, she can score a goal. If you put her through one time, she can finish that off, and that's what they drafted her for back in 2014. So I think that Maya Hayes is on the verge of really becoming a mainstay and someone that can fill the net for Sky Blue.
So you see that lineup, the starting 11. Again, mostly the same from last week, except Kelly Conheeney now starting. She's going to have a bit more of an attacking role than, say, Nikki Stanton did. Of course, Christy Rampone, as always, the captain for this team. Now let's take a look at the Boston Breakers, the team that Sky Blue is looking for a win against. You take a look at their lineup, same lineup as last week. Up top, Stephanie McCaffrey, Kaya Simon, Christy Mewis, one of the top players, obviously Boston's top player, and really coming on as one of the better players in the NWSL. Only 25 years old. Obviously, we saw what Sam Mewis did last week against Sky Blue FC. Here's Christy Mewis. She's coming into Yurcak Field, really looking for Boston's first win of the season.
And Mewis was the player that did the majority of the goal scoring for Boston last season, and goal scoring is something that we haven't seen at all from Boston this season. Some daunting numbers for them. 4 games, no goals. 5 if you go back to last season. That ties the league record. Nobody's ever lost their first 4 games of the season. Nobody had ever been shut out in their first 2. Here's Boston shut out in their first 4, and Mewis will be a key to get them going. And they need to find more space and more chances for the forwards, Kaya Simon and Stephanie McCaffrey. But they did play very well with this lineup last week against Chicago. Mewis hit the post on a PK, and they had 3 balls cleared off the line on 2 different sequences. One change, though, Libby Stout came in midway through last game when Abby Smith hurt her knee. Turned out to be a torn patella tendon, surgery, out for the year for the rookie from Texas. So a tough break for Abby Smith. But Libby Stout, brought over with Matt Beard from Liverpool, seems fairly capable of filling the role here.
Absolutely, and as you said, Libby Stout playing. They did sign a backup keeper, Jamie Kranich. And there's some news with Sky Blue. They signed a keeper, Erin Naylor. Now, she's not starting tonight. It's still Caroline Stanley in there, but they did release Caroline Casey from the squad. However, she's still around the team. They're hoping that she still continues to train with them, get better, and that moving down the line, they still really like her as a player.
Yeah, and Naylor will go to the Olympics with New Zealand, so I'm not exactly sure if Casey will have enough time out of contract to come back in as an amateur, but I do believe that Casey is a player that could have a future in this league. I thought her and Stanley both made very good showings for themselves. Both made some mistakes. Stanley, obviously, on the game-winning goal last week by Christie's sister, Samantha Mewis, went up for the 50-50 challenge and missed it, but young keepers, those things will happen.
And we are underway here at Yurcak Field in Piscataway, New Jersey. Thanks so much for joining us as Sky Blue FC takes on the Boston Breakers, and really a must-win for both of these teams. For Boston, every game is a must-win at this point after losing their first 4, but for Sky Blue, a disappointing match just 6 days ago right here at Yurcak Field. They lost 2-1 to the Western New York Flash. That one really hurt.
They're also the only team in NWSL history after that match that has a losing record at home and a winning record on the road. Jim Gabera was often puzzled during his 3 years of NWSL coaching here. I don't understand why we have such great wins on the road, then come back home and play lousy. So it is important for Sky Blue to make Yurcak Field a little bit more daunting for opponents to come to.
So we're a minute in here, and broken up by Christy Rampone, who anchors the back line.
And we see early that Kelly O'Hara is on the right side, similar to what she was last week. Christy Holly said nothing to it, just interchangeable. Doesn't think there's much to right back and left back, and that both players are right-footed. So it's very interchangeable with her and Aaron Simon.
And again, Christy Holly, the head coach for Sky Blue, he's not coaching for the United States women's national team. However, Kelly O'Hara is competing for that right back spot in the starting 11 for the United States national team. So we'll see how she plays. She certainly was very effective, just as effective on the right flank as she has been on the left flank. And as you said, Coach Christy Holly said that he doesn't think it really matters which side O'Hara's on, which side Simon's on. And to their credit, they've both been spectacular all season long. Especially Simon, who there weren't really many expectations for coming in from open tryouts. She's just a rookie.
Yeah, bad touch from her right there, but
It's that broadcaster's jinx.
O'Hara, last week, I thought pretty much took Jaylene Hinkle out of the match. Hinkle, the left back, very aggressive left back for the Flash.
Tasha Kai handling the ball now. Scored the first goal of the season for Sky Blue in Seattle. Hasn't been a huge factor since then. Here's Kelly O'Hara drawing forward. She's going to look for a play. Passes to Maya Hayes, who has it on the right side. Tries to cross it in. We'll see a corner kick for Sky Blue, their first of the match.
And I think on Saturday last week, it might have taken them until about the hour mark to win a corner kick. So one right off the bat here is a good sign.
So Kelly O'Hara, as always, to take the corner. Sends it into the box. It's loose. It looks like Sky Blue will have another shot. Killian got a piece of it, but not a great piece, and it's booted away by Boston. Simon passes forward. Ball in the air after a strike. And out of bounds. We'll see a throw in for the Breakers. Looks like Julie King will throw this in. She's got one yellow card on this season. But she's another fullback who really plays up. Similar to Kelly O'Hara, she's got 6 shots on the year, third most on this Breakers squad.
And she's one of the few players that started out as a non-allocated player and is with the same club for the 4th season in that role.
Pathman booted it forward. Stanley misplayed it, heads back to the net. And she'll have time to get back as McCaffrey settles it. O'Hara's right on her. McCaffrey sends it into the box. Some fancy footwork here from Shilgard. And we'll see a goal kick for Sky Blue. But the first challenge of the night coming from Boston after a bit of an error from Caroline Stanley.
Yeah, if McCaffrey controlled that right off the bat, she would have had a walk-in goal. But that's the kind of season it's been so far for the Breakers, as they push past the 360 mark in minutes without a goal. That's what they came into tonight, riding that streak for this season. 452 dating back to last season. And as I mentioned, a missed penalty last week and 3 balls cleared off the goal line by Red Stars players.
Maya Hayes on the flank. She keeps it in bounds. Pathman's defending. And again misplayed by, this time, Libby Stout, but another error from a goalkeeper. So Sky Blue still working with it. Ball's in the box. Killian plays it back to Rocky Rodriguez. And she'll go all the way back for Erica Skrosky. Lytle loses possession, and it's forward with Shilgard. Right back to Sky Blue, as they're currently controlling pretty well. Simon moving forward. Thought that she had Lytle, but she wasn't there, so a miscommunication, and Boston will throw the ball in.
And it does not look like Rodriguez is playing in an advanced role. Looks like she's kind of next to Sarah Killian, maybe playing a little bit higher than Killian in the midfield, and it looks like Hayes, Kai, and Kanhini across the top.
Kanhini, a midfielder, but in more of an attacking role, and Maya Hayes has been on that right flank all season long, at least since game number 2. She didn't start in week 1. Came in after that. Libby Stout, maybe making a couple Breakers fans nervous there. Again, she came in last week after the injury to Abby Smith, who's out for the season, and Stout has an injury of her own. She's coming off a right quad strain.
Which is why Abby Smith got in the lineup to begin with the week before that. Obviously, Stout was good enough and healthy enough to back up, but you don't like to push these things when you don't have to.
She has given up 5 goals on the season, most in the NWSL, but she's also collected 12 saves. Played back from Simon all the way over to Engen, and now Cassie Coleman. Right back to Engen. She gets past Kai. Now the ball with King and McCall Zerboni. Forward, great through pass to King. This time it's intended for McCaffrey. She can't get there. It's broken up by Skrosky. And right back to Boston. Nice job by Raquel Rodriguez. She gets knocked down by Shilgard. No foul. Through pass collected by Simon. Now it's outside of the box, but a poor shot right back with Simon, though, as she sort of intercepted it. It was intended to be a shot, I believe, but Simon turned that into basically a pass. Couldn't get a shot off, though. Boston with the throw-in here.
So a couple of dangerous chances for the Breakers. Sky Blue, all they needed was a player on the back post a few moments ago when Stout misplayed the bouncing ball coming across the 6-yard box, but there was nobody home.
We hope that you have a great birthday.
Angela Salem collects, and she'll play the ball back. Coleman and Engen, the 2 center backs for this squad. Different players with different experiences. That ball off Kelly O'Hara. It hit her arm, although that's not a handball. It was really connected right next to her body. Still a Boston throw-in. Pathman will take it. She's got Simon and Shilgard both near. Finds Simon. Pass right back to Pathman, and she plays it over to Salem. Shilgard loses possession. Kai playing all the way back here, had it for a moment. Now with Pathman, and back to Coleman. Here's Zerboni. Nice footwork to get past Raquel Rodriguez and find Simon. Through pass broken up by Erica Skrosky. O'Hara now plays it back to Stanley. And she sends it over to O'Hara in the right back spot. Now with Killian, and a lot of pressure coming here from Boston in the 9th minute.
Yeah, there are no free outs here, and there's a turnover.
Outside of the box, broken up this time by Christy Rampone. And Simon will be happy to get it out of Sky Blue's defensive third. Ball now with Kelly Conheeney, plays it in a through pass for Taylor Lytle. Lytle one-on-one with Julie King, and King comes away with it. Played forward for Mewis. So Boston really putting on a lot of pressure. Zerboni, we see, passes back. She's on Boston because of a trade involving Sky Blue FC. She was traded from Portland in that trade that gave Sky Blue the number 2 overall pick in the 2016 draft, which gave them Raquel Rodriguez. She played in 18 matches last season for Portland. Again, now she's over with Boston. Intended through pass for Maya Hayes broken up.
And she's been a solid addition. I think she's done a nice job kind of linking up the back line with the forwards and giving a little more bite to this midfield, because last season the Breakers were a very, very soft team.
A header from Tasha Kai finds Kelly O'Hara, who takes a shot off the mark. Can Taylor Lytle keep it in bounds? She does. She's got some room. She crosses it into the box and caught by Libby Stout. She was looking for a head of Tasha Kai or Kelly Conheaney, but Stout was there first.
One of the things Matt Beard talked about when I spoke to him on Monday was that he would like to see his team play quicker through the thirds, meaning from the defensive third to the middle third to the attacking third. As you can see right here, that ball started out keeper ball in hand, and they just kind of very slowly worked it through the center backs.
We see some nice footwork from McCaffrey. Now a pass out to the right flank. Inside, caught by Stanley as McCaffrey was right there, hoping to knock it in, although I'm not sure if she was onside or not.
And in the Breakers won what I would call poor performance of the season, a 3-0 home loss to Seattle. One of the things that did them in was they did distribute the ball out of the back too slowly and were really susceptible to Seattle's counterattack, which is exactly what Sky Blue avoided when they beat the Reign a few weeks back. And I did think the Breakers were better at moving from back to front when Abby Smith was in goal. So it'll be interesting to see if they can be better this week with Stout. So far, though, I think they've still been kind of slow at pushing the ball from the backs to the midfielders.
Ball on the left side. Conheaney plays it up. That was Simon. But now it's in possession of Christy Mewis. And we'll see a throw in for Boston. Sky Blue players were appealing to the assistant referee for that. They won't get it. The throw into the midfield collected by Shilgard and played back. Nice aggressiveness from Lytle. She passes to Conheaney. No, Killian will take it. See if she can find Lytle back on the left flank. She's aiming for her. She was offsides, as we saw about 3 or 4 Breakers' hands go straight up in the air, and she was, in fact, off.
I'm sure the assistant referee always appreciates when the defenders help him or her out.
Tells that assistant ref how to do their job. I'm sure they love that. So we'll see a free kick from Libby Stout. Pretty tall goalkeeper, 5'11". On the other side, Stanley's 5'10", which is an inch taller than Aaron Naylor, who again just entered the squad from New Zealand.
And told me last week she hates to fly. So if she hates to fly, you have to think she really, really wants to be here.
Yes.
She's heading back over to play against Australia at the end of this month, and then back here, and then down to Brazil for the Olympics.
And on top of that, in terms of personal life, she did just get engaged, which is always, when you talk about athletics, that's always an issue when it comes to family life and personal reasons. The decision to fly across the world when you have a fiance back in New Zealand.
That's true. I think if you live in New Zealand, you either have to enjoy flying or pretty much commit to staying there. But there's not really a whole lot that you can do from New Zealand without flying. But certainly a sign of her commitment. I think a really good signing for this team also.
Absolutely. Intended for Maya Hayes. Too much power, though, and we'll see a goal kick for the Breakers. We were talking a bit earlier about the two center backs, Coleman and Engen, back there. Coleman just 23 years old, and then you've got Whitney Engen, who's new to this team, but a veteran of the league. She was traded from the Flash to Chicago to Boston in November as part of a deal that brought Ursig, Lyon, and a draft pick to the Flash. We saw them obviously come in handy for Western New York last week.
Before that, she was in Houston, and you'd figure that a player as good as Whitney Engen would find a home for more than one season, but it hasn't been the case yet. But I think her and Kalman have the potential to really be a good center-back pairing.
A foul called against Tasha Kai, and so this ball will head back. We'll see another Boston free kick. Engen clearly has earned the respect of her fellow teammates. She was named captain again, even though this is her first year with the team. She was on that 2015 United States World Cup team. She's got 29 caps for the women's national team.
And I would call her a bubble player for the Olympic roster. There's alternates too, so she may or may not be going out. I'm sure she'll be in the camp at the end of this month and then may or may not be heading to Rio with the team.
Kai goes down. She's frustrated that there was no foul on that. Forward and played back for Simon. O'Hara has it with tons of space. 15th minute here at Yurcak Field. Raquel Rodriguez, some great footwork. We've seen some amazing ball handling skills from Raquel Rodriguez in this, her 5th professional match.
Yeah, she's been as advertised so far.
Killian double teamed. Back with Skrosky. Some contact. Too much contact as Killian hits the ground. And we'll see a free kick for Sky Blue.
Quarter hour in, some chances early, especially for Boston. Both keepers with a mistake, but kind of a slow start, I think, to the affairs tonight on kind of a dreary evening. It rained a majority of the day. It's gotten pretty nice now, but I don't blame anybody who stayed away on account of the weather and the forecast.
And if you are not here at the match, we, of course, are happy to have you on this broadcast. As you said, it was raining today. It's pretty nice now. Feels almost like a fall evening on this Friday the 13th. Almost feels like a Halloween evening.
I guess that's apropos for Friday the 13th. Brought both of us some traffic coming in, as you said before.
And we'll see if any of that bad luck affects either of these teams today. So far, it hasn't bitten anyone, and Stanley fields that cleanly. Throw-in finds O'Hara. And we're going to see Sky Blue with the counterattack. All the way forward for Taylor Lytle. Libby Stout indecisive for a moment, although that works out for the Breakers as we'll see a goal kick. But sometimes that indecisiveness, even just for a split second, can really burn you.
Yeah, that was a nice ball by O'Hara. It had a little bit of topspin on it and bounced toward Stout. I think if that ball had a little bit of backspin on it, Lytle might have been able to get to it and it would have been trouble.
And so Kalman has possession. Passes to Engen. You were talking about road wins and teams that can win on the road. This Boston team has not won a game on the road since July of 2014. So again, they need a win here in the worst way.
0-11-2 since then, and 4-23-7 on the road in NWSL. 0-3-2 at Yurcak.
Pathman finds Simon. Back to Shilgard.
Fans, ever been to Orlando? This season, Pine Belt of Lakewood.
Now on the right flank, here in the 18th minute. Zerboni, great work to find Cassie Coleman, with tons of pressure on her. She really laid out to play the ball back. Zerboni has it, passes to McCaffrey. And nice breakup by Kelly O'Hara before it could find Louise Shilgard. Now Pathman into the box. O'Hara gets a foot on it. Shot caught by Stanley. Let's take a look at that replay. I couldn't quite tell who took that shot.
I think that was McCaffrey. O'Hara cleared it, but didn't get it forward enough. And McCaffrey took the shot, but right on Stanley.
And let's see that one more time. Now right back to live action here. Zerboni plays it all the way back to Engen, who will move forward. Tasha Kai after her, creating some pressure and comes away with the interception. Nice work from Kai. 19th minute now. Simon gets out of a jam, creates space, and finds Skrosky. Right back to Simon. Misplays it. We'll see a throw in for Boston. Mewis collects it. Out of bounds yet again, another throw in for Boston. Now, Christy Mewis, she was teammates with Stephanie McCaffrey at Boston College. They're just a year apart. And they were both able to stay in the area, join the Breakers. Kelly Conheeney, Aaron Simon again misplays it, and so another throw in for Boston. Aaron Simon has struggled a little bit today, at least more so than we've seen so far this season.
And the high pressure by the Breakers is having a pretty good impact.
Ball in the midfield, another high-pressure situation coming from Boston. Raquel Rodriguez, can she get out of it? No, and so Boston comes away with the ball. She'll guard. Rampone is right on her, and now Pathman has it. Cross into the box, too much power. Stanley makes the catch for a nice save. Caroline Stanley gave up 2 goals last week. Now, one was a penalty kick, which was by no fault of her own, and those are almost impossible to be able to save. But the second one, she really, again, we talk about indecisiveness in goal. She didn't punch it out. She didn't catch it. It just sort of bounced off of her hands, and that created a rebound opportunity for the Flash, which gave them their game-winning goal.
One of the rules of thumb for the keeper, if you come out, you have to get the ball at the very least punched out of danger. She didn't do that. Jessica McDonald bothered her enough, and the ball squirted to Samantha Mewis. You're right on the PK. Even though league PK takers are not exactly lighting it up, a well-taken PK is not going to be stopped.
Exactly. If it's on target and not right into the keeper, you're exactly right. It goes in at least 9 times out of 10. And so it will be interesting to see the goalkeeper competition moving forward with Sky Blue as we see an attack broken up by Kelly O'Hara as Zerboni was there. Maya Hayes back. Finds Killian. And now Sky Blue will counter.
I doubt Naylor will get anything handed to her on a silver platter, but you have to imagine that she signed here with the intention of getting live game minutes in ahead of New Zealand's trip to the Olympics.
Absolutely, and she's got so much talent. We'll see. I spoke with head coach Christy Holly before the match. He didn't want to start her today as she just joined the team, didn't want to, as he put it, throw her into the deep end. That said, it will not be a surprise if she's starting in the not-too-distant future with all the talent that she brings to the squad, coming in as the starter for the New Zealand national team. Simon can't get it. O'Hara finds Raquel Rodriguez. Now Rocky's double-teamed. Finds Hayes, but it bounces off of her. And here comes Pathman on the left flank. Simon sends it into the box, easily caught by Caroline Stanley.
I'm not seeing, I don't think, enough movement off the ball by Sky Blue. You saw Rodriguez there, had 2 defenders around her, was trying her best to get out of it, actually did get the possession clear, but there was no Sky Blue player that made any sort of a run in there to collect the ball from her and keep the attack moving forward.
Hayes wins the header in the midfield, but quickly booted away by Coleman. Nice job by Kelly Conheeney. She finds Killian. And here comes Aaron Simon and Sky Blue. Simon with some space, through pass. Kai didn't get a piece of it. She hit the ground. Can't tell if that's an injury in there. The play kept going. It was saved by Libby Stout, but Kai's still on the ground. This looks like it is, in fact, an injury. I couldn't tell originally if it was more frustration or if she was hurt.
Yeah, the referee called out the trainer, and here she comes.
And so let's take a look at this, see what we can see. She might have gotten an elbow to the face or something like that. Definitely a collision. I believe that's Julie King.
Yeah, ran right into her. It didn't look as bad as it does right now. Kai's still lying on her back.
And this would be absolutely devastating for Sky Blue. Not that Tasha Kai has scored a ton of goals on the year. Again, she scored the first goal of the season, had a bit of a dry spell since then, but this is a pretty thin team when it comes to striker. Now, they are getting Leah Galton coming up this week. She graduated from Hofstra. She will join the team. But besides that, Danielle Schulman listed as doubtful. She picked up an injury midweek, and we'll see moving forward if she can come back, as injuries have been something that's plagued her really throughout the season and throughout her career. Sam Kerr obviously still injured. She's been out all year. So this is a pretty thin team up top.
It is. Galton, from all that I've heard. I didn't get to see the team during preseason, but it was very impressive in preseason as you see Kai and Julie King there with a little bit of a handshake and Kai going off the opposite side of the field. I think she'll be back on pretty soon. But you're right. I mean, first off, you never want to lose a substitution card in the midway through the first half. But there are not a lot of attacking options here for Sky Blue coming off the bench.
Yeah, with Schulman likely not playing in this match. Again, you still don't have Galton until later this week. She will be available next week, but you don't have her in this match. Again, still no Sam Kerr. So in this game, you can't afford to lose Tasha Kai, the one true threat up top for Sky Blue FC.
And it does sound, unfortunately, like we might be without Danielle Schulman for a little while. We'll find out more in the coming days.
And she has been very productive. The last 3 matches, she's come in right around the 75th minute, almost like clockwork. And so extended time without her could be tough. But again, with Leah Galton coming onto the squad, they'll look for her to really provide a big boost to this team. Throw-in for Sky Blue. Aaron Simon will take it. 26th minute now in the first half. Simon looking for Kai, but Shilgard finds McCaffrey. McCaffrey challenging, played back to Stanley. Now Christy Rampone to Kelly O'Hara, the 2 women's national team members on Sky Blue. At least U.S. national team members, I should say.
Yep.
Lytle successfully gets it to Rodriguez, and now Shilgard finds Zerboni. Turn and go play from McCaffrey. She's moving forward. Now Mewis sends it into the box. That could be a foul. No. And so definitely some contact. Simon hit the ground. I think the referee could have called a penalty kick there. Sky Blue fans very happy that he did not.
On first view, I thought she was going down before the contact, and it's impossible to tell from that
exactly,
particular
tough
angle.
to tell.
And for the most part, I personally would rather the referee err toward not calling the penalty than calling it.
Completely agree. Unless it's obvious. Unless it obviously prevents a goal. Or what could have been a goal. Rodriguez. Great pass back to Kelly O'Hara. And a player like Rocky Rodriguez, it really, I know we talk about her a lot, it really is the little things that you notice about her game that are incredibly impressive.
Yeah, very good footwork and very good defending in that midfield.
Nice play from Killian to settle midair, but Zerboni intercepts. Here's McCaffrey. Or excuse me, that was Salem, now McCaffrey. Out of bounds. Throw in for Sky Blue. Again, Sky Blue FC desperately needs a win. Tough match just 6 days ago here at home against the Flash. They haven't won a game since week 1 of the season. And when you're playing a team at the bottom of the table, especially at home, it would be unacceptable to come away with anything other than 3 points. And I certainly believe that everyone with this organization would concur. Lytle. Now Rodriguez. Some contact. Rodriguez trying to hold on. Finds Skrosky. And now Christy Rampone. Through pass for Kelly O'Hara. She was offsides, and I think she knew it. Pass from Coleman to Engen here. And now Julie King. 29th minute. Still scoreless here at Yurcak Field. Zerboni. Intercepted by Maya Hayes. And intercepted yet again by McCall Zerboni. Through pass successfully finds Louise Shilgard. Right back to Shilgard from Simon. A shot. And that's easy for Caroline Stanley.
Fans, stop by at the
Stanley
Sky
wasn't even
Blue
expecting a
FC
shot. She was
customer
preparing
service booth.
preparing for a
Enter
cross.
lunch with a Sky Blue
Looked that way. I
FC
thought she might
player,
play it out
courtesy
wide
of
for Simon.
Butler, Saint,
Decided to
and
take a
Blue.
shot at goal.
And you could see Stanley, it looked like it took her about a second to really come to terms with the fact that ball was heading for her. She was expecting a bit of a bigger challenge there. Kai settles, but with too much power coming. Here's Hayes. Nice breakup by Engen. Ball in the midfield with Boston. McCaffrey still moving forward. Knocks off the head of Killian, and here's Lytle. Kelly Conheeney. Through pass for Kai. Was she onside? I do believe she was. She's got some space. Can she get a shot off? She does, but Stout saves.
I don't think Kai got as much on that as she would have wanted to. Made it pretty easy on Libby Stout. Good trail defending, too.
And it looks like she lost a little bit of speed with Engen chasing her. By the time that she shot, as you said, she didn't really get a good strike on it.
Yeah, I don't think Engen affected the shot per se, but she certainly let Kai know she was there and coming if there was even the slightest mistouch.
And so it seemed like that was a situation where Kai knew that she needed to get a shot off, even if it wasn't the best shot. And that's precisely what happened.
But it's a good sign that they're getting her in that position to be able to impact the game.
Exactly, because most times a player like Tasha Kai will be able to finish.
And plays like that where she just ran at Cassie Coleman, she was doing that for 60, 65 minutes at a time back in her WPS days. She hasn't gotten back there. We can use the word yet. It's been 5 games, but maybe at this later age she's decided to tone it back a little bit. But she needs to impact the game around the goal one way or another, and he's going to need her teammates to help her do that.
And it is interesting to see how she plays as, again, a through pass this time. Offsides, though, as first the hand went up from head coach Matt Beard of Boston, and then from the assistant referee on the line.
That was a close one. I thought she was on myself.
I did too. We'll take a look at the replay.
I think Pathman held her on. I think she was behind her defender, but I thought Pathman held her on. But nevertheless, offside the call.
But again, another chance where they're trying to find Tasha Kai in a position really behind the back line for Boston. And again, that's a situation where you'd like to see a player of that caliber really in that position so she can become successfully reintegrated back with Sky Blue after a few years off playing rugby. Maya Hayes, was she on? It looks like she was. Maya Hayes coming in from the left side. You don't see that too often. Can she make a play? Loses the ball on the outside of the box. Some contact, not enough for a penalty kick.
And that time I thought she was off. Now, admittedly, I'm not exactly on the line with these players, so I'll give the benefit of the doubt to the person downstairs with the flag in hand who's running along that line, very working hard all night.
And we just saw the contact there. Maya Hayes, again, that's not what, it might be a foul on a different part of the field. You don't necessarily want to see that in the box for a penalty kick. And so I'd probably say definitely a good call from the head referee.
I agree.
Now forward with Christy Mewis. Finds McCaffrey. 33rd minute. Might see a cross here from Boston. It's inside of the box, but Skrosky gets it out at least for a moment. Lytle gets a piece of it. McCaffrey there. And booted away by Simon. Hayes finds Rocky Rodriguez. And here comes Kelly O'Hara advancing into the attacking third. Kelly Conheeney, not a great first touch, but finds Maya Hayes. Was Kelly O'Hara onside? No. And she ended up missing anyway on the shot. I'm not sure if the fans saw the flag was up. But regardless, not a goal for Sky Blue.
Fans are usually the last to know, right? I mean, it's hard when you're at a game.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially depending on your spot. You know, on this near side here, when play gets deep, we can barely see the AR.
And Cloud 9, the supporters group here for Sky Blue, they are in Section 9 on the far left side of the field here. That play being on the far right, very tough to notice everything. This is onside as it's played forward for Aaron Simon, sort of following in the Kelly O'Hara role. Into the box, headed by Tasha Kai off the mark, stays in bounds. It's in the box. Kai gets a piece of it, and now Boston will take it away. Simon loses it to Rodriguez, but Simon, with some great resiliency, holds on. Kaya Simon, a member of the Matildas, the Australian national team. I actually saw after the game last week, Sam Kerr, one of the Matildas for Sky Blue, was chatting with Alana Kennedy from The Flash, who's also an Australian international after the match. I'd have to imagine that Kerr and Simon will have a pretty long chat after tonight's game. Maya Hayes is intercepted by Engen, and here's Zerboni.
I'm going to tell you something. Don't sleep on Australia when we get to the Olympics. You can make an argument that all of the top contenders are kind of in flux, and Australia might be peaking at the right time to really make a deep run.
Great interception from Sarah Killian. Lytle right back to Killian. Number 2 overall pick in the 2015 draft, had a successful rookie season, now joined by the 2016 number 2 overall pick in Rocky Rodriguez. With those two in the midfield, Sky Blue feels very confident in what they've got at that position. Pathman gets a head on it, out of bounds. Kelly O'Hara throws back to Rampone in the 36th minute here in Piscataway, New Jersey. The rain has completely held off. Looks like it's gone for the rest of the game. Zerboni here. Poor pass intended for Christy Mewis, but just had too much curve to it. And we'll see if Sky Blue can counter. Taylor Lytle will take her time, find Killian. Forward for O'Hara. Was she on? I believe she was. She's got some space. Cuts in the box. Takes a shot. Saved easily by Stout. O'Hara can't find the back of the net after another big opportunity for Sky Blue.
It was a great switching ball, but there was nobody else there. Maybe Maya Hayes could have taken a pass from O'Hara, but she elected to take the shot between defenders, and Stout was well positioned. Sky Blue starting a little bit here to find some room behind the Breakers' defense. That's a pattern Boston will not want to continue.
And Boston with a lot of pressure, but Sky Blue now in a bit of a counter-attacking role where they might not have the ball all the time, but when they have it, they can be dangerous. Rodriguez double-teamed. Conhini looking for Kai. Kai's got a foot on it. She's going to elbow it out with Coleman. And that's a foul called against Tasha Kai. We see the replay there. And, yeah, on the replay, it looks like you can definitely call that against Kai.
Coleman clearly had won the position and was between Kai and the ball. That'll get you a foul most times, especially as the defending player.
And we'll see a free kick from Libby Stout, native of Louisville, Kentucky, graduate of Western Kentucky. Came from the Hilltoppers to the NWSL. Kai is intercepted by Pathman. Still in bounds now, ball with Simon, but intercepted by Sarah Killian. Rodriguez, now Lytle. And here's Boston on the counterattack. '38th minute. McCaffrey plays back to Zerboni. Zerboni cuts back for a moment. Now heading forward. Rodriguez intercepts, bounces off of Conhini, and Kelly O'Hara sweeps it out.
This does not look like the Breakers team that spent large portions of last weekend's match taking the play to the Chicago Red Stars.
Killian now with O'Hara. Right back to Killian in the midfield. This time intercepted by Shilgard, who's played very aggressively today. She's got McCaffrey on her left, and she finds her. McCaffrey being defended by Rampone. Inside of the box, McCaffrey crosses, broken up. Erica Skrosky again doing a nice job in that center back role. Played backwards, offside. And a nice save by Stanley regardless. That shot wouldn't have counted, but McCaffrey got a good foot on it. And Stanley, to her credit, made the save. We'll take a look at that replay here.
Pretty clever ball by Mewis. Hard to tell offside or onside on that play. I thought it was maybe on, as you said. Stanley made the save anyway. And, you know, if you watch, going back a couple seconds before that, if you watch how Christy Rampone defends, so we take one more
she was
look.
off.
She was heading back there when the ball was struck. Hard to say where she was when the ball made contact. But if you watch Christy Rampone defend, she never, ever lets her player one-on-one, never lets the player cut toward goal.
And no wonder why she's such an incredibly successful player in the NWSL and for the women's national team. 3 gold medals, 2 World Cups. Just a spectacular career for Captain America.
You know, I started covering women's soccer in 2001. I covered the New York Power. And Christy Rampone was the starting right back on that team. Christy Pierce back then.
And still, again, age 40, and she is as strong as ever out on the pitch. 41st minute. Simon forward for Tasha Kai. Right back to Simon. Cross switches fields over to Kelly O'Hara, who's got a one-on-one with Pathman. O'Hara crosses. An own goal. Sky Blue on the board with a goal in the 41st minute. And Boston can't seem to get out of their own way. An own goal. That's going to be against Cassie Coleman. And we'll take a look at the replay here a few times. Kelly O'Hara, great job to burn Molly Pathman. Crossed right off of Coleman into the box.
And we just talked about Rampone never letting the offensive player cut toward goal. Well, right there you saw Pathman allowed Kelly O'Hara to cut toward goal, and that's what got the Breakers in trouble. Kalman was in a good position there, not exactly sure what happened when the ball went backwards. Stout was moving to defend in case the ball got by Kalman, so we'll have to find out afterwards, but not exactly sure why that one went the wrong way on Kalman. But when it rains, it pours for the Breakers, who fall behind for the 5th straight game, 1-0.
Now, for the last 2 matches, they've gone into halftime still scoreless. In this one, that will not be the case.
I would also say they played much better in those last 2 matches against Portland and Chicago. 1-0 losses both. This has been, I think, a rather underwhelming first half for them. Mildly better for Sky Blue, and as you see, they didn't score the goal by themselves, but they put on enough pressure to allow the Breakers to make a mistake.
And Kelly O'Hara, again, she hasn't scored yet this season for Sky Blue, but she's created so many chances. We see Boston counters here. Ball with Mewis, headed away by Rampone. Another shot for Boston over the crossbar. And so they cannot equalize here in the 43rd minute. And as we were talking about that, Kelly O'Hara crossing it in. The first goal of the season was a cross in from O'Hara to Tasha Kai. In this particular case, not exactly sure who she was looking for, but again, Kelly O'Hara playing that fullback role, able to come all the way up the wing and cross it into the box and create something. See what happens after that.
And, you know, I still like her, all things being equal, in this league as a striker. That said, she can dictate a game from the fullback position, which not a whole lot of players can say.
Really incredible. A foul called against Maya Hayes. Pathman with the free kick. Now the ball with Angela Simon. We haven't heard too much from her in this match. She's been pretty quiet. One of the top players for Boston. She has started every match this season. She's gotten 3 shots off, but again, pretty quiet today. It's her first year with the Boston Breakers. She was with Washington last year, the Flash before that. Another player, as we were talking earlier about Whitney Engen, another player who can't seem to find a home, at least not long term.
She was real good with the Flash in 2013 when they won the Shield. And then things kind of started to go awry, not just for her, but with the entire Flash organization. No players there from the start of 2014 were left at the start of 2016. She was one of the ones that got moved on, and then a little bit of an overcrowding in the midfield in Washington.
O'Hara with the header. Rodriguez gets a piece of it. And now Salem. Coleman, now Pathman.
And I would imagine that starting spot was tapped for Sinead Farrelly, who came over with Zerboni but has been injured and not with the team right now. She's back home in Portland. So Salem has slid into that spot that, again, I assume was earmarked for Farrelly start of the season.
45th minute here, approaching halftime. Sky Blue FC with a 1-0 lead after an own goal from Cassie Coleman. Foul that time from Kelly Conheeney. So a free kick for Boston. Pathman to Coleman. And they might just head into halftime and recollect after that, as Boston is facing a 1-0 deficit. Zerboni back to Engen. There likely won't be too much stoppage time here, maybe a minute or two. There was the Tasha Kai injury, but that's mostly it. Nice play by Mewis. Ball in the air. Jump ball.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth official.
And we see 1 minute of extra time.
1 minute has been added to the
Pathman will look to get off one more opportunity this half, headed away by Sarah Killian. Inside of Sky Blue's box, headed out. And a throw-in, nice play that time from Simon to at least prevent it from being a corner kick to the Breakers. Booted forward, another throw-in for Boston. They'll probably have about one more chance before the half. Simon, Rodriguez boots it out. Sky Blue, can they get off a counter? I don't believe so, as we're over a minute, and there is the whistle. So we head into halftime, a 1-0 lead for Sky Blue FC after an own goal from Cassie Coleman. But a successful half for Sky Blue, an underwhelming first half from the Boston Breakers. And with that, we'll take a quick break, send it into the halftime show with Evan Davis and Brittany Alvarado. But make sure you stay tuned for that halftime show, and we will rejoin you with second half action. You're watching Sky Blue FC up on Boston.
To prevent this horrible disease. The organization
And we are up 1-0 here at halftime at Yurcak Field in New Jersey. I'm Evan Davis. Welcome to the Sky Blue Halftime Show. Thank you for joining us. And we have a very special guest. You might know her as the sideline reporter for Sky Blue FC. She is currently the content manager for both Orlando City and the Orlando Pride. It's our old friend Brittany Alvarado. Brittany, thank you so much for joining us.
Feels great to be back. Thanks, Evan.
Absolutely. So not much action to speak of until about the 41st minute, until Cassie Coleman let in that own goal. It's been a little slow. I'm just getting my stats here. A few offsides, a few crosses, but not too many shots on either side of the field. So we want to talk to Brittany about all the experiences that she's had, both with Sky Blue and her new job over at Orlando Pride. So Brittany, let's start with what you were able to accomplish here at Sky Blue, how you got to be involved in the women's game, and some of the things that you got to see grow here at Sky Blue in your time here.
Well, one of the biggest things for me with the NWSL starting to grow, with it being in its 4th year, I think the most important thing is the coverage for these women. And I got my degree in communications, video telling, so I'm using my video skills, the college degree, well to try and tell these women's stories. There's a lot of them out there in this league, and to cover that, I think just gets them that great exposure. With Sky Blue, it basically was doing the sideline reporting and the videography, just trying to get the fans to really engage and connect with the players on the team, because I think that's just so important. The more that the fans can connect with these athletes off the field, the more and more fans that we can get involved and engaged in the league.
Now you are the content manager for the Orlando Pride, also for Orlando City down in Florida. Orlando, obviously the new expansion team in the league. Brittany, bouncing off of that, how have you seen this league grow, especially given that Orlando is such a huge presence now, only a few weeks into their inaugural season here in the league?
So, out of college, I came to Sky Blue games a lot, so that was in 2014. It was in its 2nd year. So, fast forward to this year and being with the Orlando Pride and being able to be on the field and with the team for that 23,000 record-breaking crowd. I tweeted it. I was actually just sitting on the field, and I was actually crying, and I just couldn't believe that was there. For 23,000 fans were there to watch a women's soccer match between the Houston Dash and the Orlando Pride, and I think that just speaks volumes, because the crowd was loud. Ashlyn Harris even said herself that she could not communicate with the defense because they were just that loud. So I think I've just seen the passion grow a lot more, especially with the World Cup and the U.S. winning the World Cup. But I think the biggest thing for the league now is just not only getting engaged with our national team members from the U.S., Australia, Canada, but just getting to know the non-national team members. I think that's huge. And the engagement there, not everyone's just there for Alex Morgan or Ashlyn Harris. They're there for the Kristen Edmonds and the Jasmine Spencers, and ones that aren't, wearing their national team colors. So to see that was really eye-opening and incredible.
Are there any particular stories with any particular players during your time here at Sky Blue FC over the years that really stood out to you?
Funny, or just something that...
Anything that might pop up to your mind, anything interesting?
There's a lot. I mean, the personalities on Sky Blue are incredible. Nikki Stanton has to be one of my favorites. She just has this goofball mentality, and she's always a good time to be around. I think one of the funniest things is, I wasn't there to witness it, but she was on the beach trying to feed a seagull, and she posted a video of her trying to feed it. And she was screaming because it came so close to her. Kristen Grubka is also one of my favorites. We call her the gentle giant. She might kill me for saying that on air. But just interviewing her, and she's always so awkward. So it's great to be able to talk to the different personalities, on the team.
Obviously, a Sky Blue stalwart, Natasha Kai, is back with the team now in 2016. What do you think and what do you expect out of Natasha Kai in the season going forward?
Well, first off, if Natasha Kai isn't scoring goals, I just know for a fact that she's a huge spark plug for this team. I think everyone just sees it on social media, and just her presence on the field with her antics and her energy and her tattoos. She brings a special presence to this team. She is a spark plug, and if she's not scoring goals, she's firing the team up. She's getting in the run of the play, setting up her forwards as well. So I think Kai is just a special presence, and to bring her back really, was big for Sky Blue this year.
Now, in these first few weeks that you've been down in Orlando, you mentioned Kristen Edmonds, Jasmine Spencer. Any other players? Any particular stories that you can share about some of the people that you've encountered with the Pride?
Oh, goodness. Putting me on the spot here.
That's what we do.
Honestly, I just think a lot of people doubted the Orlando Pride just based off the fact that they were an expansion team and they don't have a lot of time to train and then get into the season. So just to see the camaraderie of the team just come together so quickly, it's grown a lot. And I mean, it's just so cool to be there and witness it every day. So I think just to experience that and see the team grow over the weeks has been awesome. And the team's just full of great personalities that they're playing for each other. And, you know, I think that they put kind of a responsibility on their shoulders that they want to grow women's soccer in Orlando, given Orlando City was so big, is now super big in the MLS. Like, the crowds for MLS are crazy. So I think they're putting that pressure on themselves to really grow the game down there, and then that's going to spread out to the NWSL as a whole.
Now we're going to put you on the spot one more time.
Oh my
We've
goodness.
got 2 games between Sky Blue and the Orlando Pride coming up. What do you see? What do you see happening in those 2 matches?
So do you want my biased opinion here, or
Try to put your reporter's cap back on, but then let a little bias.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, we're not going to see each other until September, so
That's right.
a lot can happen from that point until now. So if we have a healthy both teams, if Sam Kerr's almost back for Sky Blue, Erin Naylor's coming onto the pitch in the goalkeeper contention for Sky Blue. If both teams are healthy, if we have a healthy Alex Morgan, a healthy Ashlyn Harris, and just healthy field players, I think it's going to be a huge battle and a really even match. So I think we won't go biased here, but we'll just say it's going to be a battle, and I think
We'll say 3-3 draw in each game. How does that sound?
I'll take a point. I'll take a point each game. Depends. If we need the 3 points, I'm going to say, well, we're going to take the win here. But
And of course, Erin Naylor is the starting goalkeeper for the New Zealand national team, recently signed by Sky Blue and should be available very, very shortly. Sam Kerr coming back from that injury. So this team will look very, very different come September, and the Pride will also have all of their national team players back from the Olympics by then. So it should be a pretty exciting couple of matches. Thank you so much for joining us on the Sky Blue Halftime Show. Thank you so much, Brittany, for coming back and showing your face around with the old gang. And stay tuned for the second half coverage of Sky Blue versus the Boston Breakers. 1-0 at halftime. Dan Lauletta and Corey Cohen will be back on the call. Thanks for joining us. I'm Evan Davis. See you next time.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Sky Blue FC as they take on the Boston Breakers here at Yurcak Field in Piscataway, New Jersey. I'm Corey Cohen with my partner Dan Lauletta, rejoining you from the halftime broadcast. It is 1-0 after an own goal from Coleman goes against Boston, and really the Breakers just can't seem to catch a break this season, Dan.
No, they can't, because it was an own goal that was set up by Kelly O'Hara being aggressive and getting in deep on the right side and beat Molly Pathman. But really, Coleman was not really bothered by any other player, had the right positioning, just sort of took a bad touch and it went the wrong way and scooted into the goal. And they're not producing a lot offensively. They have produced more than you would think for a team that hasn't scored a goal this season, but that was not the case in the first half. Not a 45 minutes that the league will be using for publicity material, let's put it that way.
Absolutely, and this is a Boston team. They still haven't scored a goal on offense, at least, of course, that own goal coming in the first half, but they're going to be really aggressive. We saw that in the first half, really pressuring Sky Blue, looking to get on the board, and now especially playing from behind. Again, the past two games, they went into halftime scoreless. In this one, the entire second half, they're going to be playing from behind, so we'll see if they really amp up their efforts and really try to pressure Sky Blue even more than they already did.
You can also make the case that they were as good as Portland, that they were as good or better than Chicago, but I don't think you can make that case tonight so far against Sky Blue. They've been pressuring and they were winning some balls, especially early on in the half, but they haven't been able to turn that into really any sort of meaningful offense, and that's really what they're going to have to do. Christy Mewis working very hard in midfield, winning a lot of balls, but not really doing a lot with them. McCaffrey and Simon need to get the ball in better spots so that they can attack the goal and make Sky Blue work. And Sky Blue, we talked about it last week, and Christy Holly assured us there's nothing in the makeup or mentality of this team that makes it happen. But going back to last season, sitting on one-goal leads at home has been a problem for Sky Blue. They need to go out and get this next goal. Remember, last week they almost had a second one. Kai got in on a breakaway. It may or may not have been a foul on Sabrina D'Angelo. It didn't become 2-0. Back the other way, and boom, penalty kick, tie game. And then the Flash wind up winning it 2-1.
And so welcome back for the second half of action here from Yurcak Field in Piscataway, New Jersey. Teams going the opposite way this half, so Sky Blue wearing, of course, the light blue uniforms will be heading from the right side of your screen to the left, with Boston heading from the left side over towards the right.
And for Breaker fans, the last game I was at with an own goal was scored by Andressa, and her team lost that game, but Andressa came back a little bit later on and scored for her own team. So maybe this will be Cassie Kalman's night for the Breakers.
We'll see a corner kick coming from Kelly O'Hara. And again, as you mentioned, just last week, 6 days ago against the Flash, Sky Blue had a 1-0 lead at halftime as the header is loose and Maya Hayes settles. We saw Sky Blue with that 1-0 lead in halftime, and then the Flash went on to score 2 goals and win that game. So still anything can happen, even though this is a Breakers team that has yet to score a goal on the season. Counterattack coming from the Breakers. McCaffrey. Only Simon is back. Skrosky is sprinting. Here's a shot from McCaffrey, but a poor one. And Stanley is right there.
Looked like she was going to get by Simon, but maybe not enough to get off the kind of shot she wanted, and Stanley was well positioned. A little hesitation there allowed her to get by. Simon did a nice job hanging with her after having McCaffrey get by her by just a bit. And again, Stanley in good position. And the shutout streak is over 400 minutes now for this season and approaching 500 minutes dating back to last season when the Breakers last scored a goal.
Forward ball. Can Kanhini make it there? No, she can't. And we were talking last week how the Flash, they had not scored a goal during the regular rate of play throughout the season. It was only from a penalty kick, and there was just one. And then in that game, we saw Western New York score that first goal of the year. So again, anything can happen. Certainly, this game is not in the books, and Sky Blue knows that. That's what they've been working on this week. I mean, it's been pretty much the same, but they know after the performance last week against the Flash that you have to keep up the pressure and keep things the same pace that they were going in the first half, even when you have a 1-0 lead, because things got away from them. Christy Holly said, that's on us. They take responsibility. And that's what they've been working on this week. And so we'll see in this second half if they can really change things from how they were in their last game.
Well, and you can't, in this league especially, expect to win games 1-0. Certainly not milk it for 50 minutes.
And Christy Holly, I mean, he knows that. He was saying that the team got what they deserved. He was very frustrated. Everybody was. And so we'll see if we notice a big difference this half compared to the second half last week against the Flash, because that's exactly what Sky Blue knows they can't afford at this point in the season against a team like Boston here in New Jersey. So we'll see a goal kick coming from Caroline Stanley. Third straight start after Caroline Casey started the first two. She boots it towards the midfield. Header won by Zerboni. Zerboni gets a piece of it over Lytle. No foul called. Head coach Matt Beard is upset, and Rodriguez is hurt. And some contact there. Looks like that was initiated by Julie King, who's now having a conversation with the referee. And it looked like Raquel Rodriguez was going for the ball and just sort of slammed into the body of Julie King. This is the second time in the game, as we see there. Plenty of contact there from Zerboni. Rodriguez heading right into King. Lytle and Conhini heading over to talk about it.
Second time, as you said, we saw a Sky Blue player run into King. I don't think either one of them were any fault of Julie King. That kind of looked like a running back putting her head down and just bowling into a linebacker.
And an unfortunate play for Rodriguez. She is now up, and hopefully she'll be back in the game in just a few moments. But certainly what you don't want to see, again, even though the contact itself, not a fault of her own, what you don't want to see is what happened when she went to shove Kelly Conhini. Conhini went up maybe to talk things over. We don't know exactly, and you saw that shove coming from Julie King. So even when the contact on the field is not intentional, you can't see that sort of contact after the play. So a throw in now for Sky Blue. Nice job by Simon to keep it in front. Passes forward, intended for Tasha Kai. And now in the midfield, Conhini, a slide tackle, and she comes away with it. Raquel Rodriguez, back into the match, is moving forward, finds Maya Hayes. And now the ball is loose for Salem. Simon with the throw-in. Zerboni. Pathman, who was a big part of that first half of play, big part of the own goal against Boston, as she was defending Kelly O'Hara before she was able to cross it into the box. A piece of it from Skrosky. Now Taylor Lytle has possession. Forward, looking for Maya Hayes. She's got two defenders on her. Great settle from Maya Hayes, and we'll see what Sky Blue can do here. Hayes just on the outside of the box. Through pass for Kelly O'Hara. Shot on goal, off the mark. In the 52nd minute, Kelly O'Hara can't get on the board, but a nice challenge from Sky Blue.
And you called it right there. Really good job by Hayes to win that ball from two defenders. Conhini, off the camera there, went offside for a moment. I don't know if that held up the play or not.
Good footwork from Tasha Kai to send it back, and now the ball with Maya Hayes. Conhini settles off of her chest, and she'll play it back to Skrosky. Rodriguez. Here's Kelly O'Hara on the wing, across into the box, knocked away by Stout, but can Hayes rebound? No. Way off the mark. And so still a 1-0 lead for Sky Blue.
Libby Stout living dangerously there. She's got to do better with that ball. I thought she could have caught it, but if you're going to punch it and you're in that good a position, it has to get much farther than Maya Hayes inside the 18. And luckily for Stout, Hayes didn't get good foot on the rebound.
Turned out to be a pretty nice night here in Piscataway. It was raining for much of the afternoon. But no more rain for the rest of the evening here on Friday the 13th, 64 degrees, although plenty of humidity out here in New Jersey. 54th minute, Kai pressuring. Now Mewis. Interception just given away to Julie King. Now Sky Blue on the counterattack. This sent forward for Kai, but Stout is there and grabs it in the box. Coleman to Engen. Again, Coleman, a young player. She made the mistake of the own goal in the first half. Just 23 years old. Graduate from Florida State, played with Kristen Grubka in college. Traded from FC Kansas City in the fall of 2014. And those mistakes are going to happen when you're a young player and still working on building up that experience. Across the field now with Julie King. Now Mewis. Mewis takes a shot just high. And so another shot for Boston, not on goal. Last week we saw the Breakers as they took on Chicago with 11 shots, but just 2 of those 11 were actually shots on goal, as we see just off target there from Mewis.
Yeah, Mewis is a player, as like we said in the pregame, who scored a bunch of goals for this team last season. It hasn't happened for her yet. This season she's working very hard, but not necessarily turning that work into some things productive for the Breakers, as a foul in midfield will give the ball to Sky Blue.
Kai goes down, foul called against McCall Zerboni. She's got 1 yellow on the year. Played all the way back to Christy Rampone at the far sideline. Header over the ball, head over the head of Maya Hayes. And now Boston challenging. Here's a shot just high, as that was one of those that you couldn't quite tell if it was a goal or not based on the netting. As we'll look at the replay. Great job from Kaya Simon, creating just enough space, getting through the legs of Sarah Killian. And if that were just a little bit lower, I don't think anybody, but in this particular case, Caroline Stanley, could have stopped it.
Well, it rattled the net, so we've had balls cleared off the line, PKs off the post, which, by the way, that PK that hit the post came back and went off of Alyssa Nair, who had to kind of scoot it over and send it wide. Now just one just off the top of the goal. They will score this season. I'm fairly confident of that, but, you know, amazingly, we're at the quarter pole after today, quarter of the way through the season for all teams. We've had every team play every weekend this season, which is really a nice change because we couldn't do that the last 2 years with the uneven number of teams. And for some reason in 2013, there were teams that had off weeks in week 2.
Yeah, it has been nice. So after this weekend, as we'll see some games throughout the weekend in the league, everyone will be through those 5 matches. And still surprising that Boston hasn't scored, although we are certainly not through this match today. 57th minute. Rodriguez plays it for Lytle, but Engen is there and sends it out of bounds. Throw in for Sky Blue FC.
Fans, there is still time.
Simon can't quite keep it in bounds. And we'll see a throw in here for the Breakers.
And they are now over 500 minutes dating back to last August 26th. Second longest streak in league history behind the Washington Spirit streak in 2013. Last Breaker to score a goal, Maddie Evans in Seattle in the 88th minute, August 26th. Maddie Evans now in Orlando. She was taken in the expansion draft by the Pride.
Zerboni, a through pass on the outside to Kaya Simon. She'll have to slow it down, but she still has possession. Gets past her defender in the box, way off target. And so another missed opportunity for the Breakers.
A little too much on that through ball by Zerboni. Simon did nice to run after it and collect it and then get a shot off. But I think the play there was for a better weighted ball from Zerboni to have Simon run on and take a shot.
And no foul called against Kelly O'Hara, likely playing advantage, as there was definitely contact on that play. And we'll see the goal kick for Sky Blue. And you talked about just a tough slog here for Boston. And we mentioned earlier about road wins. The last time they got a road win, July of 2014. That was at Western New York.
And 0-11-2 since. 4-23-7 on the road since NWSL kicked off.
Just a tough stretch for Boston that's lasted way too long if you're a fan of the Breakers. Rampone. O'Hara finds Maya Hayes right back to Kelly O'Hara. Sun almost completely set here on a very nice night at Yurcak. A nice Friday the 13th. And, you know, Dan, we mentioned earlier jokingly about maybe Friday the 13th, some bad luck. We saw plenty of bad luck go against Boston in that first half with the own goal. And a whistle, a yellow card against Tasha Kai.
Not sure what that was for.
Yeah, didn't see, I mean, there was some contact, but it certainly didn't seem like there was maybe enough to warrant a yellow card based on the regular contact that we've been seeing throughout the match.
That's her first on the team. Time of the infraction, the 60th minute.
Well, when I talked to Matt Beard earlier in the week, and he said that he was pleased with his team because they're working the opposing goalkeeper, and that if you're working the opposing goalkeeper, that's really all that you need. Substitution here is Katie Sheffer for Louise Shilgard. I'm not sure I completely agree that working the keeper is enough, because if you look at Chicago, Kristen Press has 3 goals and has barely taken twice that many shots, and all 3 of the goals were somewhat of the spectacular variety. Some players just have a nose for the goal, and other players don't. Obviously, there is some luck. Ball's cleared off the line, in a sense, is luck.
And Katie Shepfer enters the game as a former player for Sky Blue FC. Graduate of Penn State, played here in New Jersey, now with Boston, and has entered for Shilgard, who played very well and aggressively in the first half, but has been pretty quiet here in the second half of play.
Yeah, I thought she slowed down. It looks like Shepfer here will be in an advanced position, as you see her challenging on the ball right there.
So Shepfer working that play on Skorowski. Ball in the midfield for Boston. Settled by Simon. Across the field with Stephanie McCaffrey. One-on-one with Simon. Aaron Simon comes away with it and kicks it out of bounds. Nice work from the rookie out of Syracuse.
And again, don't let the attacking player cut toward goal.
So now, Tasha Kai finds Raquel Rodriguez. And here comes Sarah Killian working the ball forward. Through pass to Maya Hayes. She was definitely on, but she's got about 2 defenders right in her way. And we'll see a corner kick for Sky Blue. '62nd minute here as Maya Hayes didn't really have anywhere to go with Coleman and Pathman both right there, and it was Coleman who got a foot on it. So Kelly O'Hara to take the corner here in the 63rd, crosses it into the box. Caught by Libby Stout. Great vertical on that jump.
And a good job to jockey for position in there, too.
Fans 21 and older, the beer garden will be closing down in the 70th minute.
And again, coming off of a quad strain that sidelined her for a couple matches this season,
As always, if you do choose to drink alcohol,
it's always tough
please do so
to
responsibly.
evaluate your own body coming off an injury and trust your body after something like that happens. Ball with Stephanie McCaffrey. Again, Aaron Simon right there to defend, and McCaffrey slips on the grass and loses possession. Again, it rained pretty much from noon or 1 today until about 5:30.
And not a lot of indications up until now that the field footing has been a problem, but that was definitely a slip. We saw one earlier where I think the Breakers were looking for or Sky Blue was looking for a penalty. And I think the player went down, mostly slipping. Trying to get a lineup for FC Kansas City tonight, but it is Jen Buskowski's final game in NWSL. She started every game Kansas City's ever played. Don't know why that would be an exception tonight.
Through pass, too much power, and we'll see a goal kick for Sky Blue.
That's an 8:30 Eastern start, so when we're done here, I recommend going and checking out Jen Buskowski, see if Kansas City and other teams struggling to score goals can get out of it. And the Red Stars are on the other side of that, 3 straight wins by shutout.
And speaking of struggling to score goals, Boston again still goalless on the entire season. Sky Blue also has struggled a bit. They scored a goal in the first half last week against the Flash. This week it was an own goal. Now again, if you get the 3 points, you're not going to complain too much, but still a bit of a dry spell for Sky Blue FC. And they will really be happy to get Leah Galton here, who just graduated from Hofstra, in for next week.
Get them now at your nearest ShopRite. Now that is a genius move.
Ball in the air, settled by Mewis. Cuts back, still holds on. She's going to keep it for herself. A foul called against Killian. Not too surprising there. After this match, it'll be 2 weeks on the road for Sky Blue. Next week, they head up to upstate New York to take on the Flash. Sky Blue clears it out of the box. And here comes Taylor Lytle. Tries to switch fields and find Maya Hayes. She can't, as it's intercepted. And here's Zerboni.
Aggressive defending by Pathman. If that backfired, Hayes might have had a 1v1 against Stout. But Pathman won it.
Ball in the midfield for Boston. And Dan, I was taking a look in the media guide about all the, they always have the statistics, the record when the opponent scores first, the record when the team has taken more corners or fewer corners, and then I realized I didn't really have to, as Boston has lost all 4 games on the season.
Yep, those are the cold hard facts about the Breakers right now.
And they did sign Eunice Beckman from Bayern Munich, a German international, but the paperwork still hasn't been cleared, so she's not yet listed on the roster. So, of course, we will not be seeing her in this match. Stanley holds on to it in the box. And that's really, I was talking to Evan Davis, who does the halftime show. I was talking to him before the match, and that is a bit of a desperation signing. This team knows they need someone else up at the top to try to score. They signed her, and yet, I believe it was announced over 2 weeks ago, and they can't seem to get her with the squad with Boston and on the pitch.
Well, there's nothing like a little red tape to hold up a player acquisition.
And with a team such as the Breakers that desperately need a player like Eunice Beckman coming over from Bayern, that's got to be very frustrating.
Number 3 overall pick, Kristen Westphal, is at the 4th officials table getting ready to come in.
So here's Tasha Kai in the midfield. Now Taylor Lytle.
Looks like Westphal come in for Julie King.
Killian has the ball. Through pass for Aaron Simon, who's playing far up. Again, just like the other fullback, Kelly O'Hara does oh so often. Zerboni. And the danger's cleared. Salem forward now with Christy Mewis. Can she score as her sister did against Sky Blue just a week ago? Mewis, about 20 yards out, takes a shot too high. And we'll see another Sky Blue goal kick here in the 68th minute.
And again, hard work, got on the ball, kept the ball, but I feel like there can be a better final product than that for Christy Mewis, as the substitute is official Westphal for King. Westphal, the number 3 overall pick, a very strange pick because Sky Blue had it. They gave it to Portland in a flip-flop, and then right before the draft started, the league announced the new allocation rules. and the Thorns immediately traded the number 3 overall pick for the right to get that number 1 allocation spot.
Tasha Kai is on. Can she cross? Let's see what she does. Keeps it in bounds, passes to Lytle. Kai's on the ground. Lytle can't find Kelly Conheeney. And so now Killian plays it to Simon on the near sideline. Taken away by Zerboni. Here's Rodriguez as she intercepts it from Boston. Looking for Maya Hayes. She didn't break fast enough. And it's picked up by Libby Stout.
And to finish that thought, the Breakers acquired that number 3 pick. They picked Kristen Westphal, who by all accounts will be an excellent player. A lot of people, myself included, though, thought maybe they should have taken an attacking player in that spot since they kind of had their back 4 situated and really knew that they were going to struggle to score goals. But Matt Beard determined to build the club back to front.
Shot on goal right past Stanley, but still scoreless. Boston, that was really the closest they've gotten throughout the match.
I think that took a deflection on the way in, and maybe Stanley got a hand on it.
Let's take a look as we see some great work coming from Schepfer.
Yeah, I think O'Hara got it, and then Stanley made a save on it.
So she did get a piece of it. So nice work by Caroline Stanley, and we'll see a corner kick. I believe the first of the game for Boston. It should be Christy Mewis who takes the corners for the Breakers. That is blocked at the line, I believe by Simon. That was Erin Simon. The second time this season, Dan, that she has single-handedly prevented a goal at the line.
Yep, Simon robbed Simon there, and then Stanley there to pick up the pieces. So the Breakers with their 4th line clearance in the last 2 games, they just cannot get one by that virtual force field around the goal for their opponents.
That's absolutely sensational. The second save from Simon on the year, and the third for Sky Blue, as earlier this season we saw Taylor Lytle stop a goal at the goal line. Shot bounces off one of the Breakers, but Libby Stout is there. And really, I mean, there's been some good play both from Caroline Casey and Caroline Stanley, but they all have to be taking, in this case Stanley, a big sigh of relief as their team has been there to help them out. Lytle once, and now Erin Simon twice, being at the perfect place at the perfect time.
That's for sure. Good defending includes getting to the right places on the goal line at the right time.
Shot from Kelly Conheeney just wide of the goal. We'll see a corner kick for Sky Blue.
Stout got a piece of that one, so now both keepers with saves on kind of wide shots coming in and corner kicks given up.
Oddly, almost exactly the same play that we just saw on the other side of the field.
And we saw last week where Sky Blue couldn't double the lead and the Flash came back and scored. Now let's see if Sky Blue can add to the lead after the Breakers come really close to tying it up.
So Lytle is there with Kelly O'Hara, who will take the corner kick. Now Lytle backing off. O'Hara, a little too much power into the box. A header ends up on target, but easily saved by Libby Stout.
Skrosky getting all the way up there to get her head on that. But you're right, very much a lofted corner kick, not driven in.
72nd minute, Sky Blue still with a 1-0 lead. Westfall moving all the way up. And you're right, Dan, it's pretty interesting when you play that game of what-ifs, the fact that Sky Blue originally was going to be in that position, and what would things have been like as we see the ball in the box cleared away by Erin Simon. What would things have been like if Sky Blue hadn't moved up to number 2 to pick Rodriguez, if they had gotten Kristen Westfall in that number 3 slot?
Yeah, I've been to all the, well, no, I wasn't at the first one, but it was certainly the most interesting of the 4 college drafts that this league has had so far, at least at the top.
And so a foul called against Kelly Conheeney. We'll see a free kick for the Breakers about 20 yards out. Christy Mewis will likely take it. She's got Katie Schepfer there. We see Mewis and Schepfer. 12 shots from Mewis heading into this match. The most on the team for Boston. 4th in the entire National Women's Soccer League. Referee blows the whistle. Shot taken by Mewis. Gets past Stanley, but just wide of the net. And again, another big sigh of relief for Sky Blue fans, and even more frustration building up if you're a fan of the Breakers.
That one didn't miss by much. There's a little post behind the goal holding up the netting, and the ball hit off of that, so it couldn't have missed by a whole lot from going in. But we're coming up to the 74th minute. We've got a Sky Blue substitution standing for Conheeney.
And part of that is likely the fact that, again, as Christy Holly has said all year, he doesn't want to put too much pressure on Kelly Conheeney with her previous injuries, some involving concussions. But she does get the start here for the first time since week 1, and Nikki Stanton, who started in that position last week, will enter the game. Still waiting, of course, as anyone who watched the broadcast last week, still waiting for Nikki Stanton to score a goal, if for no other reason than the fact that she's a competitive Irish dancer, and not only would we want her to dance, but Christy Holly has made a personal guarantee to me that he would do an Irish dance. Well, and I think we all want to see that.
I think we sure do. At this point, Christy Holly might do an Irish dance if anybody can score and give the team a little breathing room here.
As this is not a game that anyone can feel all too comfortable about. Kai gets ahead, just too much power. But those are the sort of plays that Tasha Kai is normally meant for and that you do want to see with Kai up top.
And this is really similar to last week's match in the sense that Sky Blue's ahead 1-0. I think Flash had already tied it by this moment in the game, but 72nd minute maybe. Sky Blue's been the better team, but the opponent is starting to make a little bit of an inroad toward the Sky Blue goal. Can Sky Blue hold on? Can they build on the lead? Can they walk out of here with 3 points? Because like last week, this is a game. Coming in, you were thinking has to be 3 points. When you get to the 75th minute, having played like this, it hasn't been a masterpiece, but they've been better. They got a goal. They've got to have 3 points here.
Yellow card issued to Nikki Stanton after just entering the game about a minute ago. And so a little too much contact there. And yeah, Dan, heading into last week, obviously you wanted 3 points against the Flash, although even 1 point maybe you could have been okay with. Certainly after walking away with the loss, this game is without a doubt a must-win for Sky Blue. And again, Christy Holly would obviously want his team to score that second goal, really give his team a little bit of breathing room. You can't be too comfortable right now, although at the end of the day, you just need to get out of here with 3 points. You absolutely cannot drop that opportunity to a team like Boston that still hasn't scored.
And also with 10 teams now, it's a little bit more difficult to climb from the bottom of the table to the top.
Lytle was way offside there. She knew it and backed off.
Breakers with 0 points. They're already 7 points out of the top 4, and they've got to go past 7 teams to get there. Or 6 teams to get there.
Which will be conducted along the railing of the
Here's Mewis on the far side. She finds Pathman. Salem forward. Rampone gets a piece, sends it out of bounds. And we'll see a throw in for Boston in the 77th minute of play. Still a 1-0 lead for Sky Blue. Salem right back to Molly Pathman. Ball in the midfield now. We see on the near sideline Shauna Gordon ready to enter the game as a substitute. Started at the beginning of the season, and last game came off the bench. Looks like she will do the same in this match as well. Ball gets past Rampone. A shot caught by Stanley, and she's done a nice job today.
I'm impressed with Stanley's tactics in goal. She seems to be well positioned more often than not, and a lot of times that's half the battle. There was some debate in the women's soccer community a week or two ago when Brianna Scurry was left off the list of Hall of Fame inductees. And one of the great things about Brianna Scurry, and she would say it, was the best saves are the ones you don't have to make. So being in the right position and handling your defenders sometimes is just as important as making the great diving save.
And so Maya Hayes will leave the game. Still 2 goals on the season. She didn't add one tonight, but she is leading her team in goals so far on the year. We also saw her get a little banged up last week. Nothing too major. Just took a bit of a beating in the second half. She leaves the game feeling pretty good, acknowledging the fans here at Yurcak Field. And Shauna Gordon enters the game from California, graduate of Long Beach State.
That was a nice hand from Maya Hayes. She seems to be becoming a fan favorite in New Jersey.
And we talked in the pregame show, Dan, about the fact this is her third season with the team, and now it looks like she's really coming on as a very important player for Sky Blue. So we'll see what Boston can do here. Out of bounds, we'll see a throw in for the Breakers. Ball with Engen. Boston taking their time. They can't afford to take too much time to build up their plays. A little too much power on that pass to Engen. She keeps it in bounds. And now back to Kaya Simon. Simon playing pretty far back on the field. Cross sent into the box. Header from Skrosky, but Zerboni has it. It's cleared away by Simon. And we saw her struggle a little bit in the beginning of the game, but since then she has been one of the most effective players out on the field.
I agree, and she recovered there to save that from becoming a corner kick. Booted it out to the sideline for a throw.
Nikki Stanton frustrated there with the referee, but we'll see a free kick from Kristen Westphal as we'll take a look at that replay. Zerboni couldn't get a good piece of it, and Simon right there. Again, tough to keep her footing. And she, as you said, prevented that from becoming a corner kick. Kaya Simon, Australian international, to take this free kick. The set piece is in the box and cleared away immediately.
Boston is pushing, though. Sky Blue needs to find somebody to give them a little hold-up play, kill some clock, move the ball toward the Breaker side of the field.
And we saw them effectively play in a bit of a counter-attacking system earlier in the match. So they don't necessarily, it's not necessarily a bad thing if Boston is maintaining more possession. It's just that Sky Blue has to keep challenging on the counterattack. Let's see if they can do it. Now in the 81st minute, Boston has the ball in the box. Crossed in, knocked out, and a good piece to clear it away. Now the ball with Taylor Lytle. Through pass intended for Shauna Gordon. Can she get there? It looks like she won't be able to make it as Salem made it all the way back. Pass to Libby Stout. Engen finds Westphal, right back to Engen. Nice boot forward from Whitney Engen, the captain of the Breakers. Stanton gets a piece of it, but nice job by Simon to keep it with Boston. Right back to Simon. She finds Zerboni. Can she get a shot off? No. Great work by Erin Simon, yet again breaking up the play for Sky Blue. Again, came in from Sky Blue as a member of the open tryout. She's a rookie, and she's been spectacular.
That play right there was very similar to the O'Hara goal. McCaffrey cut toward the goal, crossed it in, but the defender, I think Skrosky, but couldn't get a clean look at her, was able to deflect it the right way.
Ball in the box, a shot on goal, just wide. And again, so frustrating is if you take a look at the Boston bench, or at least we're looking at the Boston bench, they are incredibly frustrated. And Kristen Grubka to enter the game for Sky Blue the first time this season. She'll come in for Rocky Rodriguez.
And true to form, Rodriguez coming off. Holly told us last week he didn't want to put too much pressure and stress on Rodriguez. She didn't have a long preseason. There's a lot on her shoulders. Coming here as kind of the new face of the Sky Blue franchise. She's also the face of Costa Rica, even though they're not going to the Olympics, so they're in a little bit of a dormant phase at this point. But Rodriguez is a player that can keep possession. So if I'm Sky Blue, I do not want to be sitting back for the rest of this game and just hoping that Boston continues not to be able to find the goal. breaker sub 2, Verdoya, came on. So Verdoya, second-year player, will try to generate some offense for the Breakers.
Verdoya, a very interesting player, originally from Salt Lake City, went to Seattle University, a school not many people heard of, and yet she made her way from Seattle University into the National Women's Soccer League and is now a member of this Breakers team. She's only played 9 minutes so far this season, but enters the match tonight.
And she came in for Zerboni, and you figure the Breakers won't need that defensive presence in the midfield anymore. They're doing their pushing right now.
She was drafted in the 4th round in 2015. And Verdoya trying to make an impression here in the NWSL. Done a good job with it so far. Ball with Coleman. Forward now. Pass from Mewis is broken up. Mewis chasing after it. On the wing. Shepfer sends it into the box. Header. Stanley makes the save. Again, very good positioning from Caroline Stanley. And a big part of that is the goalkeeper's coach for Sky Blue, Jill Lloyden.
A familiar name, had a couple of caps with the national team, was a Sky Blue keeper for 2 seasons. First season had a broken hand in preseason, never got going, but really was playing well by the end of 2014.
Through pass broken up there by Skrosky. And a player like Caroline Casey, it'll be interesting to see with her sticking around the team, obviously just her development as a player, and Sky Blue still likes her very much. If she can continue to grow with the help of a coach like Jill Lloyden, certainly a benefit to this organization. Boston challenging. McCaffrey gets a piece of it. Now Simon, through pass, offsides. And again, with this 1-0 lead, no one with Sky Blue is feeling all too comfortable right now. They're all pretty nervous. Although head coach Christy Holly on the sideline looks as stoic as always in that sweater vest. It's become a big... In fact, the sweater vest has really become a cult hero for Cloud9 and a lot of the fans of Sky Blue.
It has, and like you say, stoicism seems to be his only way to operate, at least on the soccer field.
And definitely a good compliment with assistant coach Paul Grieg, who a lot of times is very animated, likes to talk a lot. And Christy Holly, normally pretty quiet guy. And they seem to work incredibly well together. Christy Holly from Ireland, Paul Grieg from Scotland, although that hasn't impacted their friendship in any way. Ball in the midfield, McCaffrey playing back. Loses possession. And now we see sent forward. Stanton is offsides. Excuse me, that's not Stanton. That is Grubka.
I thought she was definitely on at the time that ball was played to her.
Grubka played at Florida State. The team that in 2015 won the NCAA championship. In fact, when I was a student at Pitt in college, one of the games that I called in the ACC was Florida State, and so I actually was familiar with Kristen Grubka after seeing her up close with the Seminoles. That was in the season that they went on to win the national championship. Just a great team all around. And we'll see a throw-in for Boston. Grubka drafted 10th overall a year ago. This is now her 2nd year in the league. Big fan of the Tampa Bay Lightning, so she's excited, I'm sure, to see their success, as she is a native of Melbourne, Florida.
They're in action right now, right? Game 1 is tonight.
I believe so. I'm not following all too closely, although I'm sure she'll check her phone after the match. Goal kick for Sky Blue, 88th minute, Caroline Stanley.
Unfortunately, you cannot DVR playoff hockey because if the game goes multiple overtimes, you'll miss it. There's no add-on enough to cover what could be the entirety of an overtime hockey game.
So Sky Blue now in that mode where they are happy to kill a little bit of clock, take some time. And again, a 1-0 game isn't exactly what you dream of, but with the way things went last week, you will take those 3 points. Lytle doing a spectacular job keeping the ball in bounds, and with Sky Blue possession. Nice cross from Killian to switch fields.
Ladies and gentlemen, official time will be kept on the field by the referee.
Kelly O'Hara will waste some time in the corner, and a throw in for Sky Blue. Again, Sky Blue FC, they need these 3 points. We've said it all night. And at this point in the match, they really don't care how it's done. They don't care how much clock they have to kill.
Shouldn't be too terribly much stoppage time. There hasn't been a goal. I don't recall anybody being down for any extended period of time. Rodriguez maybe for a couple moments early in the half.
Grubka has the ball. She's playing forward now. She was a center back in college and is listed as a defender. She entered the game for Rodriguez. You'd think that they would just play it back and that Grubka, instead of playing in Rocky's role, that she would just be an extra defender. But she's playing up just as Rodriguez has all game.
We don't like to break up the back line, so you're not going to put her back there. I'm guess that her role was to just go in and get as close to the ball as possible, win balls, and try to distribute them. And Sky Blue, well, they just gave that one up, but they'll take that ball knocking around in that corner the rest of the night.
Exactly, and I was sort of expecting maybe Stanton and Killian to have Grubka enter the midfield in more of a defensive role, even more defensive than even Sarah Killian, who can really hold possession in the midfield. But we are here in the 90th minute. We're waiting to see what the fourth official will put on for extra time. Sky Blue again trying to get out of here with 3 points. Pass from Gordon to Tasha Kai. She's double teamed and now a boot forward. Offside. 3 minutes of extra time will be added into this match. So we'll see at least 3 minutes here for Boston to attempt to score their first goal of the season. Boot forward.
If they don't, they'll be the second team ever to be shut out 5 consecutive times within one season, and the first team ever in NWSL to be shut out 6 consecutive times. And the amazing thing was they came in to this season, they were one of only 2 teams, with Kansas City being the other, to never be shut out 2 games in a row. So for all their woes, no playoff appearances, only 4 wins on the road, horrible season last year, they had never been blanked 2 games in a row until this season.
Through pass intended for Tasha Kai. She's chasing after it in a foot race with Cassie Coleman, but Stout boots it away. A foul called and an injury on Boston. I believe that's Pathman. No, that's Salem, and she's pretty quick to get up. Normally the other way around, you might see a player on a team with the lead take their time if they get hurt.
Yeah, it hurts a lot more when you have the lead. It's funny how that works.
So Salem jumps back up quickly to her credit. Started all 5 games this season now. And a nice job to just send that ball forward out of bounds and again kill a little more clock. Almost 2 minutes here through extra time. Again, 3 minutes to be added on. Pass back to Stout. Engen. And it looks like Boston will settle for just one good opportunity as they're taking their time looking for perhaps a successful shot on goal. Ball's outside. We'll see a throw-in for the Breakers. It's Verdoya. Great footwork to cross it into the box, but it's headed away. Kai gets a piece. Great ball forward from Shauna Gordon to kill a whole lot of time. Play back to Stout. Engen now, about 30 seconds. She doesn't know exactly how much time's left. Nice jump from Christy Rampone, and another big ball forward, that time from O'Hara. Kai chasing after it. Stout clears it in a sweeper-keeper roll at this point in the match. Boston to challenge one more time. Skrosky puts the header in the air. It's in the box. Is that a PK? No. And Boston's bench seems pretty furious, including head coach Matt Beard. As that's a tough, we'll take a look at the replay here. And there's the final whistle. Sky Blue defeats Boston. Certainly some contact. I don't think that's worthy of a penalty, especially within 20 seconds of the end of the match.
I don't think that's a penalty right there. Breakers are shut out again. That's 5 in a row this season. 6 in a row dating to 2015. They are 0-5. Sky Blues in the win column for the first time since opening night.
And so Sky Blue with the victory 1-0 as they now have their second win of the season, and they will take those 3 points here against Boston, and they will move forward with them. We want to thank everybody for tuning into this match. I want to thank Kurt Chimay and everybody at NJ Discover on the production side. One final time, Sky Blue defeats the Boston Breakers 1-0. For my partner Dan Lauletta, I'm Corey Cohen signing off from New Jersey.